All right, we are live here at the Lunch Break Podcast here at FNGO this Tuesday, September 16th. See a couple of you guys already in the comment sections. You guys, well, y'all were troopers there. Y'all were here kind of early today, so appreciate you guys, and of course everybody that's going to be watching today or listening to this in the near future. Hey, we appreciate you guys as well. Lots going on. Feel a lot better today than I did yesterday. I tell you what, sometimes a good night of sleep on a Monday night after the football game. You're right. Critter Bug Customs. Don't forget us girls too. 100%. So guys and gals, please forgive me with that one right there for sure. Gone fishing with Ed. What's up, buddy? You know, I do that every once in a while. We need more women watching the show. We do. I don't know if I'm the turn off and they don't want to hear me talk, but we definitely do need more females participating with what we do here. So appreciate your subtle reminder right there. 100%. Mike Geiger, Sturgeon, Fred, all you guys right there. So, hey, listen, lots going on. I hope everybody's doing well at work. If you're working today, I hope you're not working too hard. All right. Tuesdays and Thursdays are always the longest days here for me because I get here early. And then, of course, I stay all the way till we do tonight's show. Got a fantastic show for you guys tonight. Y'all need to come back tonight at 8 o'clock because we got Franco Corrado on there. And if you don't know him, you should. When it comes to topwater bass fishing, especially on herring lakes. All right, he fishes the cast products a lot, but I told him when we get him on the night, he can't just talk cast. I don't want a cast infomercial. We're going to talk about all forms of topwater, especially on herring lakes going into the fall. I think we've all been waiting for a long time for the topwater bite finally to kick on. And whether it does or not, I don't know. But we're going to try to squeeze some juice out of him. We're going to squeeze as much juice out of him to kind of help maybe kickstart your topwater. That's what we want to do. Doc Holliday said he texted Coleman before his surgery and he was anxious, but okay. You know, I want to tease him a little bit because he's just getting knee surgery or whatever it is. It's not like, you know, they're taking a kidney out. But it's always funny when you're not used to it. So hopefully he's okay. Maybe he's listening. I don't know. Maybe he gets to listen while we're doing this. So Gone Fish with that. Appreciate all the likes and everything that you're doing over there on TikTok. Eddie Hudson says, Mrs. Critterbug took some good videos on the boat Sunday night. I need to check it out. I definitely need to check it out. And Tiny Times Production, what's up? So anyway, let's do this. Actually, one of the things I want to start doing, you know, I was doing the actually, let me take care of this too. I'll take care of this before I get to talking, and then I won't shut up for an hour straight. December 6th, Toys for Tots. Okay. I need to get with Danny and them today or tomorrow, and I'm going to do that to get the sign up started. Hey, listen, if you got a company and you want to be one of the sponsors for this, it was a big event last year. Very well run. Everybody had fun. $5,000 first place prize guaranteed by the sponsors. It's Laurel Park. We'll be there. But if you have a company and you want to be part of the sponsor group for the Toys for Tots, reach out to me. You can either message me on Facebook or you can email me, danny@fngo.com. And if you do that, we'll get you set up with that. But this is one of those tournaments that, hey, listen, at the end of the day, it's for children, right? We want the children who are less fortunate to have a great Christmas. And so by doing what we're doing, we're putting some smiles on some people's faces, okay? And, you know, so go ahead and mark your calendar. We want everybody that watches us to be part of that. It's kind of like, even though, you know, before the tournament last year and even afterwards, it's kind of like one big family gathering. And I love meeting the viewers there and shaking hands and people coming up and saying, I'm so-and-so. I know them by their screen name. And so they tell me that. And then I'm like, now I got a face with a name. And I absolutely love doing that. And the guys on the podcast, they talk about it all the time, going to a boat ramp or somebody and somebody recognizes them because of, you know, the podcast. And then, of course, their social media and all that now and all this big family we got. And they're like, at first it's weird, but then it makes you feel really, really good. And so, hey, we want to feel really, really good by seeing you guys take part in that. Also remember, too, I got it pinned on the FNGO group page. Don't forget about LJ and that GoFundMe that they got going right there. A few people have put some money into the pot. You guys do the same, okay? All right, let me catch up on the comments. Let's see. My company has sponsored an MMA fighter. I could talk with the boss about it. Well, hell, Tyler, if they sponsored an MMA fighter, how about they sponsor this podcast, baby? because you got a vested interest in that. But anyway, Rob, I appreciate you that best part of the day. John G. I ain't even read the comment yet. I have not even looked at the comment. I saw the name. Let me guess. He's probably fishing in his kayak somewhere. So now let's go to the comment and see. Check this out. Hey guys, I'm on the Okmulgee River in Juliet, Georgia. Just floated over a 6-foot sturgeon. That was an awesome sight. Like, John G is a diehard, guys. He's on the water right now. He's on the water just about every day. And he's always chiming in and listening to us when he's on the water. So, dude, appreciate you doing that. John already is kind of echoing what I just said. I got to meet several guys in person at the Sheffield benefit tournament. And he'll tell you, it's a cool thing. And it's just a really cool thing to get to know everybody. All right, let's see. Tiny Tines is going to give us his deer report real quick. Yesterday, I got 1 foot into the deer stand, and there was a deer in front of me looking right at me. Boy, that helps me. That's happened to me a lot. Gone fishing with Ed said, I hooked into that sturgeon he's talking about on the Okmulgee. So there you go, John G. Gone fishing with Ed says he thinks he knows the fish that you're over right now. So that's pretty cool. I personally have never seen a sturgeon in real life as far as like out in the water and everything. They say we got them all the way up here in the Amicalola Creek, Etowah Basin area. There are signs that say they've been released up here. I have yet to see one. I'm not saying they don't exist or didn't make it. They're just up here. It's kind of like Bigfoot. Sturgeon sightings are almost like Bigfoot up here. People say they see them, but I don't know. But anyway, hey, I want to give you guys a couple of, before we get on our main topic for today, I want to start doing this. I was giving you guys things that happened in the world on this date and all that, but I thought maybe I'd switch it up to, I get a lot of emails. I've told you guys about this industry news and everything. And so I think instead of doing what happened on this date, I'm just going to start giving you a couple things a day from the industry that maybe you know or you do not know about. And so these are things that I get. You possibly could get them too. I get some of these as a retailer, but just to share, so at least you can kind of broaden your knowledge a little bit about the fishing industry and the outdoor industry as a whole. So today, the first one, we're going to talk about boat sales, power boat sales. It's going to be real quick, but I just want you to hear this because now you can kind of get a sense of what's going on out there in the power boat market. Okay, when it comes to power boats, when I give you these numbers, understand that bass boats, aluminum boats, fiberglass bass boats are considered generally 15% to 20% of this market. Okay, and so real quick, here's some numbers from this year. Okay, and this is from the National Marine Manufacturers Association. This is June data, shows a continued softness in new boat sales. Okay, the MMA latest monthly recreational boating industry data summary covering through June of 2025 shows a continued pressure on retail sales as economic uncertainty and elevated borrowing costs weigh in on consumer demand. I think you should add a number 3 there. How about the damn price of a new boat? Okay, I think that might have something to do with it as well. But year to date, so far, from January to June of this year, power boat sales are down 9.7%. What's up, 706? 9.7%. That's a lot in an industry. 9.7%. Now, from the same time, that's 6 months, and that's compared to January of 2024 through June of 2024. That is this year compared to last year, down 9.7%. If you take from July of 2024 all the way around a 12-month picture, sales declined 7.3%. So, that's a big drop in power boat sales. Tag on some tariffs to build them boats, it all adds up. Dino, for sure, Big Daddy Trump says it's going to get worse. The world economy is down bad and everything. You guys need to be ready. Better have your bug out stuff ready. Ammo, batteries, matches. Some of you city boys are going to be hurting if that ever happens. Because I've seen some of you try to, just watching me skin a deer, and I can tell you what, like, I've seen your faces before. You guys better get on YouTube and start learning some survival stuff. Anyway, let's see. A lot of dealers still have 2025s on the lot, not moving them like it seems. Better buy a kayak. It's way cheaper, Dino says. Pontoon Jody. I always love you coming on here. I don't know what's happening to me. This is becoming one of my favorite channels to watch, and I'm even starting to catch bass. Lord help me. Well, here's the thing, Pontoon Jody. Today we're going to talk about something a little bit different than bass. Once I get through these couple things, and you'll actually like this next article that I'm about to read. I think you'll appreciate that. Tim Hancock, when I sold boats 35 years ago, just about the top of the line bass boat ran for $35,000. Now, Tim's older than we are, but it ain't been that long ago. He said 35 years ago. But yeah, I mean, they say, hey, economic uncertainty, sure, elevated borrowing costs, but man, price. Hot damn, it has to be price, has to do something with it. And you know what? I always find it funny that you can finance them for so long. Stephen Sturgeon says, every time I'm home from a fishing trip, I bring back a 300-pound sturgeon. I bet you do. We are wearing on her, Fred. We're wearing on her. Aaron says, between prices and interest rates, it's no surprise, wages have not kept up with inflation. 100%, I can tell you here. Big Daddy Trump said the 100 is the new 20. You're right. 100%. So Tyler Shonut, let me read this one, and then I'm going to get to my next story here. It wasn't that long ago where the cream of the crop with all the accessories ran 60 to 75K. Now they're 100K plus. Yeah, they are. I mean, listen, guys are dropping some serious coin on their boats. And that's just the boats. And then when you add in all the accessories, the power poles, all the graphs, just a loaded boat is ridiculous. Now, Brian Farrell says even the used boat prices are crazy. I will tell you what, this is a perfect example. I bought this has been a while back. I probably had this thing 10, maybe even longer than that. From a buddy of mine, I bought a 1436 Alumacraft on a trailer. And the trailer was a homemade trailer that had a tag on it. It was very nice, well built. I paid $1,100 for that thing back, 10 years ago. I looked at what I could sell that boat for now, and it's better than some of my daggum, I want to say investments. I mean, I guarantee I probably could sell that thing for $3,000. Just looking at the prices, maybe they're overpriced right now, but I seriously could sell it. Absolutely could sell it. It's crazy, but I'm not going to. I like that thing. When bass boats cost the same as the house, something isn't right. Yeah, prices and interest rates. Somebody else will be paying for my new boat when I'm gone crazy, but I love it. You only live once. Hey, listen, if you got the coin and you can do it, got the credit, go for it. I'm definitely not saying don't buy the boat. Get it. Get that boat. But I tell you, when I did heating and air, what's up, Land Outdoors? When I did heating and air, I would go into $1 million homes. Because I was that crew that had to go do some of them more expensive houses. I was that crew leader. And then we'd have to go back and we do the set outs and all that. We'd have to go back and service them from time to time. But I would go into $1 million homes. And we're talking back 2003 plus, before then, 93 to 2003, before I went into subcontracting, when I actually worked with a company. People had those homes, but they didn't have a damn bed to lay in. They didn't have any furniture in there, but they had the home. And they had the Mercedes outside. So from the outside, the world looks at them and they're like, man, I wonder what they're doing. But I'm telling you, they're as much broke as the rest of you guys, just on a much bigger scale. Honestly, I've been in homes where they did not have beds. There was a mattress on the floor, no furniture in the dining room, but they wanted the house and they wanted it, we're talking about Sugarloaf and all. If anybody's familiar with the Duluth area and all that, those kind of homes. Crazy what people were spending on homes back then when they didn't have the stuff to put in there. And now home sales here, and we're talking about boats, but even here, I know houses on my road that if they were built 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that's a $350,000, $400,000 house. They're going for over $800,000 now. It is absolutely ridiculous. I went by and said, hell, it better be made of gold on the inside. Stephen Joe Varnon, he said, I went used on my boat and I don't regret it. Still runs 65, just ain't as shiny. And let me tell you this, Stephen, don't fall for the trick with the mayonnaise. Because I had an old Pro Craft and I was going to fish a Wednesday nighter and I wanted to look good and everything was going bad on it. The clear coat, the gel coat and all that. It looked really rough. Had an old man give me a used car salesman trick. He said, take some mayonnaise and rub that joker down. A lot of guys have heard this story. And I did it. And I'm telling you what, it shined that thing right up till you get in the water. And then all of a sudden it looks like you're leaking oil out of your motor. You're leaving a slick trail all the way wherever you go. But it looked shiny when we were putting it in. So, but yeah, listen, you can't go as long as that boat runs, or you got a kayak and you can put a bait in the water. It's absolutely good. Yeah, it's house pour is what it's called. Tony says it's still that way. People buying more than I'd rather have. Listen, I'd rather have a smaller house. First of all, you got to clean them big houses. I'd rather have a smaller house with all the amenities than that big house and that with nothing. That's just me. My dad's guitar player was like that. He was a radiologist. There you go. A lot of people living on credit cards, for sure. Michael Hefner, for a young man with a wife and 2 kids, I make good money and somehow cannot afford a new home unless it's a shack. Hey, listen, I know it. My son and his wife had to go buy a house. They were basically just, he's 23. I think she might be 23 too. Hell, I can't keep up with them all. But they ended up having to buy one in Hall County that was built in the 50s. And it still cost them $280,000. And we've had to do a lot of work. Now, don't get me wrong. It's in a good spot, good lot, beautiful lot. I'd rather have his lot than mine. But we had to do a lot of work on the house. But it's just not there. I don't know how young kids are doing it. Yeah, and to be quite honest, I don't know how some people eat the way things are. So always remember, you guys know how I am. I got a soft spot for people who can't afford things, as long as they're trying. You know what I'm saying? I bought my 1984 Ranger 374V used in 19 for $8K. I could sell it today for $12 to $15K. That is according to the evaluation. $85K for a new one is crazy. Would I buy one if I could afford it? Yeah, so would I. Reynolds is going to Latham. Tell me, I had a guy ask me if I've been on Latham lately. I said, nope, but give me an update. What you're seeing out there. My sister and her husband have moved in with me and my parents because they can't afford to live in an apartment even. Well, listen, I tell you what, I told Tatum, she was in an apartment over in Johns Creek, paying over $2,000 plus a month in rent for a small, like, studio apartment. And I said, listen, and she's a nurse. She makes the money. I said, move back home, go upstairs, live upstairs, save your money, and then you can go pay cash for something. Because she makes that kind of money. If she could save it, she would do that. Apartments nowadays are crazy, ridiculous, and rent costs. Everything. It's man, I'm telling you what, everything is crazy. And this is a big thing. Tim Hancock says, again, I didn't have this on my bingo card. We were going to talk about housing, but here we are, right? There are too many corporations snapping up houses for sale before regular people can arrange financing. That is true. And there are subdivisions being built now where the entire subdivision is already bought, paid for, and they're turning them into rental communities. Rental communities. I did see, now, this Ossoff, our senator here in Georgia, he's a Dem, but, still, I think this might be the right thing to do. He's looking into legislation and some other ones that will prevent companies worth over X amount of dollars in valuation from going in and doing that, buying up places like that, making people rent before average people can have a chance. BlackRock and Vanguard, yeah, big companies. And I don't know exactly what all senators are involved. I think I heard Ossoff talking about it, but that is something. I know there's one over here in Ball Ground. I think somebody told me that they're taking it out of the ground now, but it's a rental community, and the house ain't even been built yet. I've got 2 adult children, both over 20, and a grandchild that live with me. Can't afford to move out and still have the opportunity to get ahead as a young person. I was out at 18, not anymore. Well, my dad and my mom. And think about our grandparents. Most time grannies didn't work. Papa Pruitt was a janitor with, if I think I'm remembering this right, Fulton County. They made it work with 7 kids. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I always miscount them. 1, 2, 3, 6 kids, and made it work. Now, granted, they weren't going out to Disney World or nothing like that, but they made it work. You're right. It's hard to do it. It is hard to do it. Hall County has lots of them rental communities. Yeah, it's crazy. Let's see here. My FIL is also a realtor, steered us into a bad housing choice, made a commission off of us and never gave anything back. He made us feel we were benefiting while using him, and he was giving us the commission. Yeah, well, listen, ain't nobody doing that for free, for sure. You got people who bought 5 years ago that could not qualify to buy their current home now. True. I could sell my house for a lot more than what I paid for it, which most people can right now. Problem is, I couldn't afford to go get into something equivalent. I couldn't afford the equivalent house. I can make a lot of money on mine, but I could not afford the equivalent house that I have right now. They make more money renting it out for 5 years and selling it than they would selling it to begin with, straight from the builder's mouth. Listen, I get it. I get it. Yeah, I think it's more these big corporations that are doing it that people are having the problems with. Kind of like what Mr. Trumper over there on TikTok said. Through it all, the good Lord is always taking care of us, regardless of circumstances. He does that with everybody for sure. Cam says it definitely takes 2 incomes these days, and you're lucky, and his house is paid for. It's no wonder people are doing them tiny homes now. It's all they can afford. Sure, I get it. We have generations who didn't live within their means, never saved, and some of those people should have left the workforce already, providing a job opening and better pay for someone younger, for sure. But back in the day, maybe not so much in America, but in a lot of places, the family unit stays together like that a lot longer than what we do here. I've just been reading up on that. Doug Rice, Danny, I've struggled most of my life to make ends meet. People today really have to struggle, really don't know how they do it. My motto is never look down on someone unless you're helping them up, for sure. I really seriously, I don't know how some people I realize there's government assistance, and I think in situations where that is needed, we should do that and provide that, as long as they're trying individuals and everything. But even on that, man, you know how much of your income goes to food? It's crazy out there. I really don't know how people do it. Politicians should have jerseys so you can see who sponsored them. Those are 21. We talking politics today? No. We just jumped into the housing thing real quick. You know how this show goes. I do not plan on staying here. Hot take, realtors are a scam. I watch people use a realtor who they see 2 times, and the second time it's at closing to collect their $12K commission. Maybe. I'm fortunate that I've always had the tribe and reservation to fall back on if things go south. That's what Tim. Where's that at? Ain't that out in Oklahoma? Justin Butler, mobile home for the win in these times. Dude, I'm telling you what. Now listen, if I had a single wide when me and Amanda first got married back in the 90s. I miss that thing. Had the old wood panel and the mirrors in the living room. Loud as hell, air conditioner and all that. But you know what? It was paid for. Gosh, I wish I had that thing back now. I would be loving it. Okay. If Pontoon Jody's still on here, let me get to the second story. All right, the second story of the day. Now, this is out of Idaho. Now, guys, I want to know how you would feel. And some of you may have heard about this, but I want to know how you would feel if you held a state record fish in any category, but you got the state record fish. You take your wife fishing with you, and she beats your record. Oh, Dino, y'all have fun down there in South Georgia in a couple weeks. That'll be awesome. But your wife beats your record. How would that make you feel? Okay, how would that make you feel? This happened in Idaho, okay? And the fella, Jared Holt. Now, in Idaho, they got a thing called catch and release record. So what you got to do, you take a picture, you measure it, almost similar to the kayak thing. I don't think it goes by weight. I'm sure they got weight records too. But this is a catch and release state program that they run. Gone fishing with that, said he'd be happy and proud. I'd be glad for her and laugh. All you guys are happy and proud. You guys are lying your ass off. Catch, photo, and release like $1 million. Yeah. I taught her that at Atlanta Outdoors. I'd be happy as hell. It means I know how to locate state record fish consistently. And then Michael Hefner is the only one of you guys that's honest. He's the only one of you guys that are honest. He goes, I'd feel inadequate. But all you guys say you'd feel great. And, we probably would. It is awesome. But so on this catch and releasing, he had a 42-inch in 2020. He caught a 42-inch, I think it was out of the Snake River, flathead catfish, right? 42 inches. Then I think, according to some articles, I've read several of them on here, in 2022, he bested that with a 43-inch one. Well, his wife, Brandy, just took the record with a 44-inch flathead catfish. Now, she even says in the article she was hesitant about turning it in because she knew her husband had the record. So she was even thinking, hey, do I really want to take this glory away from him? But they turned it in, so now she holds the record. Now, it's a cool article in that when you read it, and they, both of them are talking about, like, Jared takes that record seriously. The husband takes it seriously. So he is going back after that. Now, Brandy has admitted that before she really didn't care that much, but now that she is the record holder, she's taking that serious. So I'm sure it's a fun competition. But I wonder, I really don't know what the odds of that are. I didn't check into that, what the odds are. How many husbands across all your IGFA records, all that kind of stuff, have been bested by somebody in their family, especially their wife? And oh yeah, you guys talking about wife would never let you let it down. 100%, I know mine would. If my wife beat my record or any state record, automatically paying her way into the opens and buying her a lottery ticket, Colton Posey. There you go. We all would have to change the way our social media is. Tony says 100% we'd have to. Now, granted, yeah, as long as it's in the family. But I can tell you, if Amanda, guys, first of all, if Amanda went fishing with me, hell would freeze over. Because you guys know the story. She's still mad about me tossing her 7-pounder back in the water and not letting her keep it. She's still mad at me. Been going on 30-something years, and she can't let it go. But if she does go fishing with me, and she does that, her ass is going to expect me to do the laundry, dishwasher, fold clothes. She expects a lot of that now. But I'm talking about she's going to walk around like she's got it hanging out. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. She is not going to let me live it down. And every conversation with anybody in the fishing industry is going to be, hey, I beat Danny's record. I'm holding that record. She couldn't even tell you what she caught it on. But she'll tell you she got that record. Now, Brandy, of course, fishes with Jared a lot, so she knows. But that's kind of like taking somebody deer hunting for the first time. Or you take a 9-year-old kid hunting for the first time and they bust a 12-pointer. Like a 150-inch 12-pointer. Sometimes it's just luck like that. And I'm not saying Brandy's would be luck, but I think my wife's would be luck. It also, too, when you're a kid and you shoot a deer that big, I think it's one of the worst things that can happen to you, because then that's what your expectations are. That's what your expectations are. And it's never going to be the same. Like you got the deer of a lifetime in your first deer, or you caught that big trophy 12-pound bass, or your 44-inch flathead catfish on your first try. You ain't gonna break that again. That's not a reasonable expectation every time you go in the woods or on the water. But I thought it was pretty cool. I've never heard of a wife besting her husband's record that he already had. So anyway, that's out of Idaho. So I thought that was a pretty cool story. That's what you get for showing anyone your spot, True. You've been beat by a girl. Hey, it ain't the first time. You guys, my wife would send me a picture of that fish every day laughing. That's what I'm saying. For sure. Okay. That's how that's how turkey hunting was for me the first time I sat there. I wasn't there for 20 minutes and he busted one. Jeremy said, yeah, for sure. And that ain't the reality, is it? What about if he goes and breaks her record? That would be more of a problem. Well, he's going to try to break a record according to the article. According to the article, that's it. So it's like a family competition. Now, what we do is we hope and we pray that it doesn't become a point of contention in the marriage. Because stranger things than that have ruined marriages, right? Stranger things than that. But I could see it being a point of contention. Tony says, my second year hunting, I took a 10-point buck, first rack buck I ever saw walking in the woods. Haven't beat it yet, for sure. And Alex Purrs, what's up, buddy? Got you at work. Now, listen, so let's talk about what I want to talk about today. We talk about bass fishing every single day here at Fish North Georgia. 99.2% of the live wells are about bass fishing. And we got some other channels coming here in the very near future that's going to help spread the love to other species and ways to do things. You guys are going to see a lot of it coming here. Right now, we've already started some of them on socials. I ain't got a lot of stuff on it yet, but they're coming. You're going to have FNGO fly fishing. We'll have FNGO hunting, FNGO outdoor. There's a lot coming. Going to take a lot of work, but we're going to try to spread it out a little bit. But I want to know what you guys like to fish for outside of bass. I'll fly fish for trout every once in a while. That's all right. My favorite way to fish, and I've said it 100 times, give me a tube of crickets, a Zebco 33, a pencil float, and a farm pond. I'm at home. This fat boy is like a pig in shit. Catfish or any saltwater, Peg Leg says. If y'all do a trout fishing podcast, me and Jack could do that for sure. Hey, we're going to do one. Broke Bass Boys. Lucky for me, I shot my first buck 8-pointer 7 years ago and haven't been hunting since, so no disappointment with the hunting. Dude, you got to get back in the woods. Doc's headed to the Altima tomorrow for bluegills and shell crackers. I love shell crackers. Tyler says, I've done my fair share of fly fishing. Dana from FCP Fishing, one of my favorite channels, stripers. Why does that not surprise me with you? You know, we have our laugh for you. The guys in here, like, they love to hear your laugh when you're fishing. It's like, I can't do it as good as some guys. 3-3 pops. There he is. I love it. I'm glad you're here. Crappie and trout for Doug. Broke Bass Boy. Saltwater is next after bass. Dozer says, I can't catch crappie with a fistful of 50s, but I keep trying. There you go. Fly fishing for trout or watching a bobber and snatching up a bluegill. Alex says he fishes for anything that'll bite my lure. The tug is my drug. Same thing, Stephen Sturgeon. Jeremy says, put me on the Cumberland River with swim baits for stripers. There you go. Brian Farrell, you have to she beats because you're talking about, you're still talking about the couple fishing and everything. I hope my wife never breaks any of my records. Anything salt. Love that drag strip on basically every hook set. Dead Rabbit says, I fish for whatever hell. I still love going to the river with a can of red worms and dew worms. Never know what you're going to catch. Dana says, I even like catching gar. They fight like tarpon. And Cam says, saltwater. I love when the mackerel are running. You know, growing up, and I think a lot of that has to do with, too, how you grew up. I did not grow up bass fishing Lake Lanier like a lot of these kids do. I grew up with a pond in my backyard that had brim, crappie, and bass and catfish in it. And back in Forsyth County in the 80s when I was in high school, every 25 yards there was a farm pond. Somebody had a lake, and we're talking an acre to 5 acres. They were everywhere. Pontoon Jody, you're going to have to go back. I talked about catfishing and a female setting a record catfishing. If you didn't hear it because you took your lunch nap, you have to go back and listen to it, hon. But I grew up, bass fishing for me growing up was we had an old guy that lived just up above us in a concrete block store that's, I've said this before, he sold worms, minnows, some hooks and bobbers, chewing tobacco, Coca-Colas and moon pies. And he was literally less than 2 miles from my house. So we take some money, or I'd steal it out of Dad's, pockets when he leave money in his pockets. Anyways, we threw shiners and we threw crickets and all that. So I grew up doing that, and that's where my love for that type of fishing is. And don't get me wrong, I love going on Lanier and these lakes now and bass fishing and all that. But that's not what I grew up doing. And so that's something that I learned to love. But my first love is bluegill and shellcracker. Absolutely. My first love is bluegill and shellcracker. I keep thinking about one day throwing a bluegill shellcracker brim, if we want to call it, sunfish, whatever you want to call it, tournament on Latham. I keep thinking about what it would look like to have a shellcracker tournament or bluegill tournament on Latham. Keep your best 7, and then we have a fish fry afterwards. I think it would be fun. I'm sure they do that in other places. But just for the enjoyment of fishing, the most fish caught are bluegill. Yeah, just for the enjoyment of fishing, where like the world stops, all the craziness of the world stops, I'd rather brim fish than anything. Fishing the hooch for trout holds a special place in my heart. Sure it does. Catfish, reds, trout, flounder. Michael says, I grew up in East Georgia. All we did was fish family farm ponds and set jugs on Clark's Hill. That would be pretty cool. I grew up catching catfish and crappie with my grandfather. I would catch brim for catfish bait. So, I think, things like that are just different because all we talk about is bass. Don't get me wrong. That is the the gas in the engine here. But every one of us got to start with something. The Zebco 33. If it ain't bait, catfish. Oh, something about catfish, it's bait. If it ain't catfish, it's bait, peg leg. And in fact, that woman in Idaho, they caught that big flathead. She caught it on cut crappie that they had in their freezer, which to me is a total waste of crappie. Just saying, but that's what they caught it. She caught it on. Broke Bass Boy says, that sounds awesome. I think we should do a brim tournament. I bank fished most of my life. I have a boat now and still enjoy bank fishing, gone fishing with Diaz said. Yeah. But it's just like, I get we're building out a fly shop in here. And for the Real American Road Trip, I've had to do some fly fishing. Is it my favorite? No. But I do enjoy it. And there's something about getting out on some of these mountain streams, especially when it's cold and nobody's around. And I'm telling you, just the silence. Sometimes it's just about that silence. I got a friend that caught a 73-pound flathead on a 1.5-pound bass as bait. Oh, Lord, peg leg. We're going to get people. We're going to stir it up. We start talking about using bass for bait. They have a redbreast tournament on the lower Ogeechee River every spring. Yeah, I know some of them people down there have those kind of tournaments. We just don't talk about it or do it up here in North Georgia. I set up a slip bobber with a small grub and hook, catch brim, then catfish, caught a 15-pound cat in my yak. Good tug last year. Tyler says we should have Joel Dickey on the fly fishing podcast. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, here's what we're doing. For you guys that are interested in fly fishing, real quick, I'll let you know. We have the page, FNGO Fly Fishing. Josh and Nathan are setting some stuff up, and we're going to have a separate page called The Foam is Home, and that is going to be our fly fishing / trout podcast. It's going to have its own dedicated YouTube channel so that it doesn't, kind of get mixed in. Because when I do a trout podcast here, it gets in the wash. We're so bass heavy here. And it gets put down in videos and nobody sees it. So we're going to give that its own channel. We're going to try to do that with hunting and everything. And any of you guys, I'll go ahead and throw this out. Any of you guys that are interested in being contributors to some of this, you want to help join the team and build all this stuff up as we try to help build up your socials and all that. And maybe when we're making millions, we'll pay you. Maybe. We'll see. But if you guys are interested in helping out with some of that, by all means, reach out to me. But let's see. Cam said, drone dropping baits 450 meters out and reeling in a 6-foot and 7-foot shark were really intense experiences that I've become addicted to as well. Yeah, I'm telling you. Me too. I would do that. Doug Rice, I fished every farm pond within 5 miles of my house. I had permission to fish and some that I didn't. Me too. We snuck into many of them back in the day. That was back in the day when, you weren't going to jail if you did it. They just call your dad. Dad would take care of you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Grandpa taught me to just love fishing, don't matter what it is. Yeah. So my earliest memories of fishing, Johns Creek. My grandfather lived off Sargent Road. He had a Volkswagen Bug, and he'd say, hey, let's go scooter pooping. Don't ask me what the hell scooter pooping, where he got that. But to me, as a 5-year-old boy, scooter pooping meant we're getting in the Volkswagen, and we're going up to the creek, or we're going somewhere. And he'd dig up some worms, and we had little cane poles. And he would go up, and what he would do, this creek had a bunch of crayfish, crawdads, however you want to say it in them, mini lobsters, whatever. He would take that worm, and I'd watch him. I still can visualize it in my mind. Him taking that worm, and he would just dab it in front of that crawdad till they grab it, and he would just pull the crawdad out of the water. And then he would take it, and he would break open the tail section. And then the reason he did this is he would take the meat, cut it in little bitty pieces, and he would put that on our hooks to catch brim with, because the brim wouldn't be able to pull it off near as easy as they would a worm or a cricket. And so that is my earliest memories of fishing, going scooter pooping with Papa Gilbert over on Johns Creek. The creek's still there. Lord knows there's houses all around it now. But I still remember thinking that we see some fish in there. And I mean, at the time, they were probably 3, 4, or 5-inch brim. But I remember seeing there was 1 or 2 in there that were bigger than everything else, and that was the fish I wanted to catch. It was a cane pole. It was a cane pole. One of them little 2-piece, you buy them. Hell, I think they still make them cane poles. But that's where my love of fishing is. I wish we talked about all that other stuff more. Don't get me wrong, bass fishing is great. But that's where, like, I put out a TikTok and I said it the other day, like, if I was in heaven and I want a farm pond, man, I'd love for it to just be loaded up with monster shell cracker. Monster shell cracker. We just don't give the other species as much love. Now, here's the thing, too. Now, one of the things is when it comes to brim fishing, it's kind of like an underspin. If we did podcasts on underspin, you could cover the entire ways to fish an underspin in the first 30 minutes of the podcast. If we're being honest, the first 30 minutes, you got it down. And so that's why we don't talk about or do like underspin specific podcasts, because really it's not much to it. Throw it out there, reel it fast, reel it slow, let it hit the bottom, whatever. Well, that's the same way with brim fishing. Crappie fishing, kind of the same way. So if we can figure out ways, different techniques, and like a lot of guys want me to start carrying in the shop these certain bugs for fly fishing for brim, and maybe that will kind of intrigue me as different ways to catch them. But that's one of the reasons why we don't really hit on it like we do bass fishing, because Lord knows there's 52 million ways to catch bass, but we really could probably do it all with like 3 things, but that's the way it is. I grew up catching all kinds of things and learned how to clean and cook most of what I caught, not because we had to, but because it was part of being a sportsman or outdoorsman for sure. That's how I fed myself through, we were latchkey kids. Mom and Dad worked. During the summertime, we was home. If we weren't chasing the girls in the neighborhood, we was fishing. I don't know how many times I would catch a mess of brim, take it up and fry it in the kitchen. That was lunch. Daddy wouldn't let me keep any of the bass out of the lake, but I could keep all the brim. And crappie, he wanted me to get them out of the lake. There's a Kentucky panfish tournament. It's a series with points, AOI, the whole 9 yards. Interesting. I think that'd be pretty cool around here. You need to pull a buddy of mine in named Bernard Ramanauskas. I hope I said that, for a fly fishing podcast. There's nothing he doesn't know, and he's a fantastic rod maker. I'll get him involved with Nathan and the guys on that side. Brim tournament sounds like a good time. Now, here's something Dana says, and this is true. I agree with him 100% on this. Being a multi-species angler will make you a better bass fisherman. And I tell a lot of people this too. Bass guys see a guy with a fly rod in his hand and they're thinking, oh, snooty fly rod guy. Some fly rod guys see a bass guy, with the rod in his hand, he's thinking, oh, you primitive ape, you can't, you know what I'm saying. They all prejudge each other. But the reality is, it's the same techniques, just called by different things. What's a dry fly? It's topwater, right? Okay. What's a streamer in trout when they're stripping the streamer? Same thing as a crankbait or a jerk bait, something like that running, moving bait. Then you get into your hoppers and your droppers where you got something up here and then one tied down. It's like a drop shot. I mean, it's all the same. It's just different in how you do it. Love bluegill fishing with my 7.2 ultralight, for sure. When I was growing up, just about everyone who owned property with a pond would let you fish it if you asked politely and did not leave trash or pick up any trash that was seen. Yeah, those days are gone, man. Grandpa would sing, fishy, fishy in the brook, come and bite on my hook. There's more to it, but I can't remember how it went. Pontoon Jody went back and watched it. See, I thought you'd like that story. Messick Outdoors. Fishing these tournaments with my grandpa now is like a full circle for me. He taught me how to catch the brim when I was little. Now we're out here winning championships and tournaments regularly. That's good stuff, dude. That's real good stuff. My personal best largemouth is on a fly rod. It's so fun. Listen, I will tell you this. Now, if I single out one fish, it's that king salmon I caught up in Michigan on a fly rod for the TV show. 6 minutes and 42 seconds. Yeah, whistle. 6 minutes and 42 seconds from hook set to putting my hand on that fish. And the thing with a fly rod is I was using a 6-weight, which is way smaller than what I needed. So I was really going ultralight there. And I basically had to let the fish run right and pray that he stopped. And when he stopped and started coming this way and started going up the river, stripped like crazy, let him run this way. And that went on. And that honestly, of all the fish I've ever caught, that was the most exciting I've ever experienced. And it was with a fly rod. Would I want to do that every day? Yeah, if I could catch fish like that every day. But Around here, you can't. I love fly fishing. This could be controversial, but in my opinion, I do both very well. Bass fishing is more difficult to catch fish than fly fishing. Fly fishing is mechanically harder, but the fish are easier. And I would say, too, if you're fishing for like stockers and things like that, for sure. Absolutely. I can see that. Fly fishing, now it's as mechanical as you make it. It's like everything. Just because a guy teaches you to flip this way, you personally might flip that way. And just because they tell you not to break your wrist and all this, little wrist break ain't going to kill nothing. As long as you can get let the fly line do the work, for sure. But if you can get the bug in the water, Tad Murdoch says, hey, it's a cast, right? That's all you got to do. Brian Farrell says, we walked 2 miles through the woods to get to the Potomac River when I was a kid. Wow. There you go. If a bluegill weighed 8 pounds, you'd never land it. Pound for pound champion. Now, I think a shell cracker is even stronger than a bluegill, and I agree with that. Pound for pound, there is nothing meaner and nothing that will fight you harder than a shell cracker or a bluegill. A lot of you guys don't say shell cracker. If you're from South Georgia, you might call it a stump knocker. Technically, it's a red ear sunfish. We call them shell crackers. My dad would fish for shell crackers like he would catfish. Instead of doing it with a bobber, he'd get red wigglers and some weight. He'd throw it down, and he'd sit there and set his pole in a forked stick like he was catfishing on lakes that he knew had shell cracker in it. That's what he did, and he caught a bunch of them. Danny, did you see that monster trout video I sent you? That was a slab. Not yet, buddy. I'll look at it after the show. Cody Jones, glad you're here. Aaron said, my grandpa used to look at what trout ate in their stomach and try and make the same flies. Match the hatch, match what they're eating. 100% smart. I mean, that's smart. Fly fishing on a 16-foot boat is hard. Fly wrapped around the pole light in the back. I mean, it is hard. But listen, there's some things about it that is easy. There's some things about bass fishing that is easy, and some things are harder to us. And both of them, like flipping or skipping, not flipping, skipping. I can't skip worth of crap at all. I try. I suck at it. I'll get one right every once in a while, but it is not my strong, because all the lakes I grew up on didn't have docks. I never had to start skipping until I fished Lanier and all that. But same thing with the fly rod. See, here in Georgia, we have to get out of the mentality of this river runs through it, beautiful casting, right? Because we got so much overhang stuff. There's only like in the Chattahoochee, maybe up here in the Toccoa, maybe a few places you can do that. For the most part, you're just roll casting. It's very simple stuff. You just got to get it in there. And it is fun. Don't get me wrong. Now, the bonefish that I caught on a fly rod down in the Bahamas, that took a little more. It wasn't as hard as people made it out to be, but it still took a little more skill than going up here and fly fishing for the stockers in Amicalola Creek. And I will tell you this, if you ain't never caught a bonefish, and I didn't catch a big one, you talking about something that will go crazy on your line and run like a scalded dog. And I caught a small one. I can't even imagine what a big one would feel like on a fly rod. That 20-inch brown I caught was the best fight of my life on a 10-foot 3-weight rod. Yes, yeah, for sure. Now, Doc Holliday, stump knocker is vastly different from shell cracker. They are nowhere near as large. Now listen, I will tell you this. Everybody around here has called them stump knockers for as long as I have lived, and it's stump knocker, shell cracker. Now, you tell me, and again, we could be calling them wrong, but I know a lot of people that call a shell cracker a stump knocker. What fish, Doc, do you know as a stump knocker? Because I can be corrected. I can learn. I'm not that old. I can do that. Use closed face spin cast or an open face spin if you have trouble skipping. Well, see, Dad Rabbit, no, listen, I can take a spinning rod and a weightless wacky and all that, right underneath. Oh, I got that one down. With a bait caster, I'm terrible. I should have prefaced that by saying that. I can't do it with a bait caster worth anything. Every time I try to skip, I scare every fish within 100 foot. Oh, yeah, or I'm waking up people sitting on their decks, enjoying a whatever they enjoy. We go by and we're fishing, and I try to skip, and bang, they hit the pontoon or something like that, which is why I don't do it very often. Fly fishing for tarpon in the Keys was cool. Weather didn't work out for bonefish. Now, I ain't caught a tarpon yet either. That's on the bucket list. Brim or booger eaters. Listen, brim will eat anything you put in front of them. You guys have heard me talk about it. Ran out of crickets one day, had a pack of red man in my thing, just pulled out a little strip of red man, tore it about 2 inches, folded it in the middle, put it on the hook like a worm, chunked it out. Boom, 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 boom. Went through half a pack of red man that day. I've never heard of a stump knocker, only titty brim. Yeah, I know. A lot of people say that. I just know the old timer. A stump knocker is a spotted sunfish. The hell's a spotted sunfish? I'll have to look that one up. I ain't never heard of a spotted sunfish. But then again, I'll go look it up. We up here, just the guys that I grew up with, always called you shell crackers, stump knockers. So we could have totally been wrong, but it was for Forsyth County, Georgia back in the day, right? Craziest thing I ever caught was a revolver by the 20 Bridge in the Hooch about 25 years back. My dad made me throw it back. Yeah, you don't want to be an accessory to something. There's a reason why that thing was in the river, for sure. Stephen Sturgeon says, landlocked in Illinois, always heard that permit were the pinnacle of saltwater fly fishing. I've heard people say that as well. I've definitely not caught that. I know the Bahamas is known for its bone fishing because they got all those mangrove groves or whatever back in there. And it's beautiful back in there. It was amazing to go back there. Had to fly in that little sketchy ass two prop plane to get over there. That was a little bit different. I'm like, guys, I'm not lying. My seat, it looked like the inside of a 1960 school bus. That old fake leather that stick to the back of your skin. Pilot wearing sweats. Crack in the window that I could spit out of, and I'm right above the wing. And when and boy, it was loud. And we're going over that. Takeoff was smooth. Landing was smooth. That's when you get in the air on one of them little things that's a little bit kind of sketchy. But bonefish in Bahamas, yeah, that was like, and seeing them tail and kind of do like what redfish do was pretty cool. What are you guys saying up there? Okay, so yeah, I thought they were two different fish also, Doc Holiday. Maybe you guys did, but you know what? You guys live on that side of the state. You're flatlanders. Up here in the mountains. I'll look it up. I'll look up spotted sunfish and see. Regardless, Hartwell has spotted sunfish. So there you go. Okay. At that point, we just always called them brim. So, but we'll still go with shell cracker. We can all agree a shell cracker and a bluegill, pound for pound, are the hardest fighting fish out there. I think we can all at least agree on that. I'm still trying Aaron with magnets. You're trying to do that, guys, magnet fishing. That's something I've never done. That is something I've never done. And I think that would be pretty interesting. Now, catfish, like what Pontoon Jody does and all that, like in the river for big cats, I've never done. Farm pond catfish for sure, chicken livers. I've never caught a catfish on a hot dog, and I've seen guys fish with them all my life. Like I've never caught a fish on a hot dog, but I've caught plenty on chicken liver. Dr. Depression, I've been fishing for tiger muskie in a local pond. It's not huge, but decent size. I've had about 4. Now, I've caught 2 muskie in my life. I caught them in Tennessee on the Collins River. Did it for an episode of our TV show. And they weren't big. They weren't really big, 28 inches and 34 inches. And to keep a muskie, if you're into that thing, I don't know who is, but if you're into that thing, in Tennessee, you can keep 1 a day, and it's got to be at least 50 inches. As far as tips for catching them, I'll just tell you what we did. We started off with the fly rod, throwing these big-ass articulated streamers, and you had to work them really fast, and then you had to do that figure 8 stuff at the boat. And it wore my shoulder out because they said muskies, to them, a wind was moving a muskie. Now, the river was a little muddier, so we couldn't really see it as well as if it was totally clear. But if they would see a big muskie sitting under a log or something, if you could move it and just make it follow your bait, then that was a win. We couldn't tell if we were doing that, but that's why you got to do that figure 8. They say sometimes a muskie will follow the bait all the way back to the boat. And even the guy that was doing the drift boat said he's seen muskie come up and hit his paddles. They're crazy when they just finally lose it. But muskies only eat every so often. They don't eat every day. Not the big ones. They eat a big meal. Now, again, this is what they were teaching me. So I'm not a professional muskie fisherman, so I don't know. But a big muskie will eat a smallmouth, a couple of big, whatever other fish are in that thing, and then he'll sit for a day or two. kind of like a snake, and let it digest. And that's why they're so hard to move, because if they've just eaten and they're sitting in that river and you're throwing at them, if they're not hungry, they ain't moving. So we started off with these flies doing that. Well, we didn't catch anything. So he pulled out a big swim bait. And I want to say that thing was about 12 inches long. The first half of it was solid plastic with two hooks, two big treble hooks on the bottom, and then a big tail. When we were going down the river, this is the only tip I can give you if you're doing it in the river. If we were in a bend of the river, the outside bend would always be these rocky, kind of steep banks. Everything looked beautiful. Like that is the fishiest looking thing I've ever seen in my life. They ought to be there. Nope. The bites came, and the guy told us this, on the inside turn of the river where it was muddy and silty. He said, that's where you're going to catch your fish. And sure enough, both of the muskies that I caught were chunking with a big old bait caster, that big swim bait, right up in a foot of water on the sandy, muddy side of that river, and then just start reeling it. That's where both of my fish, that's where they both came from. And he said those muskies, when they're feeding, will move up on those flats. I don't know, on that sand, muck, whatever, in the inside turn. I don't know that to be true 100% of the time, but that is the only tip I can give you, other than keep on working it, because you never know. Sometimes I've seen videos where, and you go watch them on YouTube, where a guy's sitting there and he's just doing a figure eight, kind of like them big-ass catfish chasing them whopper ploppers over there in England or something like that. You ever seen them? They throw that whopper plopper out, and the catfish follows it right up to the boat or the kayak or whatever they're in, and all of a sudden they just start going crazy right around the boat just with their rod and all that, and then that catfish busted, and they got about 3 foot of line out. So that's all I got on muskies for you. I can at least say I've caught one, but that's all I got. Flukes are on the move right now in Lanier. Time to be throwing your flukes, Parker says on TikTok. I can see it. Now, okay, Parker, let me ask you this. So for the guys out here, when you say flukes, are we throwing it in the upper water column, weightless flukes, or are we putting them on a jig head and we throwing them down on the brush? Which one are you doing? Or is it both? Always curious to see what somebody's doing. But flukes are what he's using right now. You guys are over 20-foot brush. Okay, there you go. So if you're on Lake Lanier, and I imagine probably the same thing on Allatoona or Chattooga or any of these lakes, 20-foot brush. LP5 Patriot. Let's talk Wright Patman. But buddy, I tell you what, you're going to have to throw out the talk on Wright Patman, because I have not fished Wright Patman. But I will definitely be glad 100% to talk about it with you. I'd like to learn about it. And if there's anybody on the YouTube side of things that knows anything about Wright Patman, y'all throw something out there. Let me fix my TikTok thing again. I hate this thing. So Wright Patman, yeah, I don't know much about that lake. But you guys out there, let me know. Fluke University. Oh, he's never been on it and got one in 3 weeks. Patriot dude, like, I don't know, man. What kind of lake is it? What kind of baits it got? Do you know? I judge everything by Lake Lanier. 38,000 acres, pretty clear water, deep Highland Reservoir. Got blueback herring in it. Give me some information, and we'll throw out there. We'll see if the YouTube guys got something for you. If any of you guys have ever fished Wright Patman, throw it out there. It says if Pines and Tawakoni had a love child. Jeez, man, I ain't even familiar with those lakes. Anybody out there heard of Wright Patman? I'd like to help this guy out, and I don't want to. I mean, I can lie to you, but I don't want to do that. Let me read a couple of these YouTube comments real quick. Now, y'all talking about his 4-wheeler. You guys helped him out there. Just curious, Parker, what color fluke? If anyone wants a good topwater bite, I've been catching some big ones every time I go out on a buzzbait at Rocky, West Antioch, but I'm sure East is hitting too. Okay, so it's a Texas lake. I would say you probably got big-ass gizzard shad out there, wouldn't you? Would that probably be your predominant bait? Texas lake. Anytime we talk Texas lakes, it seems like the guests that I have on a regular podcast or anything, they're always talking gizzard shad. I don't know about Texas, but I know here everybody's talking about beating the banks. Now, Parker then said fluke over 20 foot of water, so maybe we're kind of lost on that. But I've never fished it. but I bet I can take my shaky head with a Cinco out there and catch them. River runs into it, stays muddy. Deepest in, I believe, is 40 feet. The NPFL fished right. Yeah, that's right. They did. I bet you Rob's not on here anymore. Rob Robleski was here in the comments. He fishes the NPFL. I wished he was still here. I tell you what I'm going to do, LP5 Patriot. I'm going to make me a note right here. When I get off, I'm going to hit up Rob and a couple buddies I know that fish the NPFL, and I'll see if I can get something for you. And then I will hit you on TikTok and shoot you what I hear. That's about the best I can do on this. See you, Doug. But yeah, let me make sure I write you down too. LP5 Patriot, because I absolutely will forget who in the hell I talked to. So Wright Patman. Yeah, I'll see what I can do for you, buddy. But anyway, and this might be dumb, but what's the weather looking like for you in Texas? LP5 Patriot, are you out there still? What's the weather looking like out there? Probably hot. I mean, it's Texas, right? But it's good. So right now he said it's good. So there you go. Muddy Lake in Texas. Man, I tell you what, I know some of these guys right here be throwing big-ass glides and swim baits. That's just what some of the guys out here I know, like what you just described to them is like, everybody thinks that's clear water stuff. Now, they'll throw some of them big things, big old swim baits and stuff, and some nasty water too, especially some of them like Buka. What is that Buka one? Burrito that's got a big boom, 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 boom tail on it. High is 90 right now. Been getting down to 60s, 67 low. That's kind of just a little bit hotter than we are here in Georgia. Luckily for us this time, the humidity has not been near as bad as it's been. But I'm going to have to research now Stump Knocker, though. Now, tonight on the live well, Franco and I, we're going, like I said, we're going to be talking topwater for sure. And we're going to be talking, you know, he's with Cass, so you're going to hear a lot about the OG. And they got that new 20-gram size out. So, you know, he's going to talk about that. But there's got to be some other ways for sure. We had fork this past weekend. We did good shad in the grass. Okay. Man, I need to get out to Texas and fish. I don't even fish the Georgia lakes enough. You guys, I will say this about Texas. You guys, at least from afar, like your wildlife, Texas wildlife and all that, man, it kicks ass compared to what we got here. Like you guys them guys really are invested in your fisheries and everything out there. And it's kind of like, I'm jealous. Read all these articles about what you guys are doing and everything. And then I look out here and we're like, yeah, it ain't the same. Hell, it ain't even the same here as it is in Alabama and Tennessee. They kick our butts, much less what Texas does. How big are gizzard shad? We had some big bait fish boiling and blowing up in about 50-foot wide school the other day. The fish had to be 8 to 10 inches long. They just shut the door on our fishery. Explain. Interesting. Cam, he says not really sure what's going with it. I'll look into that too. Cam, a gizzard shad, man, they can get a foot long. Yeah, Dead Rabbit just said that. Okay, can get up to 12 inches. Threadfin, the biggest, about 5 to 6. A gizzard shad, if you go pull up Kevin Underwood's lip sticker page, go back about a month and a half, and he takes that underwater camera on Lanier, and he gets in a school of spots, and there are gizzard shad, big gizzard shad in there with the spots. Rocky Mountain PFA has some big gizzard shad. I've seen them. I bow fish some big gizzard shad, so if that tells you anything. Yeah, gizzard shads get big. But that's kind of, to me, that's why if you're starting a trophy largemouth bass lake, I'd throw gizzard shad in there. Bluegill, shellcracker, stump knockers, those spotted sunfish, according to the guys. Lake Ackworth has massive gizzard shad. Texas Park and Wildlife closed the main place that handles the fisheries program. Interesting. Wow. I have not heard that. That's kind of shocking to me, if I'm being honest. Now, again, I don't know all the politics and everything that's going on in Texas, but I did not expect to hear that. I'm going to look into that. Atlanta Safe House, what's up? What's up to you, buddy? Hope everything is well with you. Seeing some deer over there. Nothing big yet on camera. Seeing some deer, though. Coleman has made it out of surgery, gentlemen. Feeling like death, but we did it. Coleman, did you get a chub? That was your fear, dude. You said that the other day. Did it happen? I want to know. That was going to be my first question to you. Did that little fear you have come to pass? So just let us know. Been about a week now. Okay, I'm gonna look into that. That's very, and I haven't seen nothing on YouTube or anything about it. To me, that would be kind of like big news. Anyone have any luck in the woods? I haven't been yet. Atlanta Safe House is on here. Fortunate enough to fish a little bit of their property, put out a camera and all that. Got pictures of them. Nothing big yet. No big ones yet. A couple small bucks and a lot of does. And got a picture of a button buck and a doe standing up fighting. I did not, but the nurse asked me to please stop saying this MF hurts. Coleman. My dad, bless his heart, when he, and again, I had to look back when he was on his deathbed and find the funny stuff because cancer was eating him up. But right before he passed in the hospital, he was all jacked up on medicine. And he had this really, really pretty Jamaican nurse. And he kept coming in. He kept calling her Beyonce and telling her how pretty she was and how much he liked her music. My dad ain't listened to Beyonce a second in his life. But he kept calling her Beyonce. You look like Beyonce. And I was sitting there like, I don't know how my mom felt about it. I think it's funny. Cam, the stripers are trying to eat the spotted bass on Lake Greenwood, knocking them out of the water like herring. So I know that's what they're chasing. Yeah, I mean, listen. I'm telling you what, a striper will hit everything. And you know what? Here's a cool thing. A lot of guys don't know about stripers and a lot do. But if you ever go up on the Coosa River in Rome, you can fish for stripers in two ways. You can go up there, you can get your herring and all that, whatever. And you can put them on a hook under a float like you would. Or you can throw them out on the bottom, kind of Carolina rig, a whole herring and all that. But a lot of guys will take that thing and they'll cut the head off, they'll cut the tail off, and they'll slice the body in about 4 or 5 pieces. Got to have the guts in it. Take your hook, make sure you get it going through the guts and the thing, throw it out there on the bottom like catfish. A striper will hit off the bottom just like a catfish. And those rods, we were sitting there, we were with Siger Sar, and I forget the name of his outfit now. He's over there near Alatoona, but he goes up there and guides up there. But that's the way he would do it. If something didn't get bit, if a line was out on the bottom and it hadn't been bit in a while, he'd go, I bet you the guts are gone. Okay, we'd reel it in, sure enough. I mean, it looks like a little piece. It looks like a sardine, when you slice them like that, except he didn't cut the stomach out. So you had that little round section where the guts would be. No guts, no striper. Put a new one on, chunk it out there. We caught quite a few that day off the bottom, which, again, I'm not the biggest striper fisherman in the world, but they're fun, especially in a river. What ramp are they putting in for that tournament in Texas? I'd like to try and break the lake down by mapping. I don't know. L5 Patriot, what ramp are you guys putting in over there? Dead Rabbit said, I've caught gizzard mouth hooked on spinners and on the bottom with worms, like inline spinners. Yeah. They'll listen. They don't get that big by, not eating stuff for sure. My wife just had to get the security bar a guy. Okay, let me read this again. My wife just had to get security. A guy from the hospital she works at, to bar a guy from the hospital she works at. Dude was trying to flash his junk in Big Creek, and apparently he pushed the nurse too. There is a code for that my daughter has said, because down at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, when you get an unruly parent, there is a code for that, and I forget. And there's a lot of color codes in the hospital too. Ron Satterfield won the 2023 Wright Patman MPFL event with 50 pounds. So there you go. Maybe LP5 Patriot, you can look into that too. The 2023 Wright Patman MPFL event. I don't know what time of year it was. I'm sure it probably wasn't this time of year. That was probably earlier in the year. I'm sure there's something out there. A gizzard shad is the nastiest fish I've ever touched. I guess so. Coleman, don't turn down any pain meds, Doc Holliday said. Listen at you guys. Don't turn down any pain meds. So anyway, all right. But yeah, listen, we talked about a bunch of stuff, but just a lot of things I didn't expect to, like the housing situation and all that. But yeah, just think about, the ways we like to fish outside of bass fishing. And maybe some of you would enjoy bass fishing a little bit more if you fished the other ways every once in a while. I'm not talking about for technique, just talking about to just chill. A bucktail jig is all you need to catch stripers. And you need to go watch FCP Fishing on YouTube. Subscribe and follow his channel, and watch him because the man does catch a bunch of them. A bunch of them, for sure. Code white is violence and aggression. Okay, I knew there were some codes. They used to catch striper off of chicken livers when they were running on the Coosa. Well, we were on the Coosa, WB Harrington. So yeah, that does not shock me at all. That was what was cool about it. It was like I had no idea you can catch stripers on the bottom with cut bait. Again, I'm not very experienced at them, but this has been, my son was 9, 10 years old. He's 23 now. So you're looking 13, 14 years ago we did that. Asian carp are the nastiest, especially when you get one that bleeds under scales as soon as it's brought out of the water. I don't know about that, but I do tell you, I do know this. I would love to be the guy in the football helmet on the back of the boat with the net trying to catch them things, you know, when they start jumping. Because, I mean, some of them boats are going fast. You take a carp to the face, seems like it hurt a little bit. Does anyone know what is in season in the Gulf of America right now, James Ramsey? Going for the first time this weekend, I don't know what to expect. Thanks. I would say, I mean, should be sea trout and redfish. You should be able to get some of those. We were there about in October and stuff. So I would say your sea trout, your redfish. I don't know about flounder, but you should be able to get those. Sounds like a great American road trip idea. Listen, I want to go noodling with you. Listen, I'm trying to put some episodes together. Manatees are in season, Tyler Shelnut. Yeah, I don't think so. Them people down there love their manatees, man. Stephen Bardet was down there. I think it was Stephen Bardet. Sent some pictures of some of that. That's a big old, I mean, it's a sea cow. They're big old critters. I've never seen one in person, but by the videos, they're big, for sure. But I'm trying to put together some cost-effective episodes for the Real American Road Trip, and I want to do the noodling with you. I think I'd love to go, you know, just do something like that, something off. I'm not going to be able to go noodle with Hannah Barron. The wife ain't going to allow that episode. I have to take that into consideration. So, Messick, if you can take me, that'd be, you know, I'm not saying you're ugly compared to Hannah Barron, but you'd be more acceptable to my wife, I think. Snapper is open in Florida. They hang out in the marinas in the Keys talking about the manatees and all that. Oh, Danny, I have videos of the most nastiest immoral behavior during a redneck fishing tournament, just depravity of a bunch of inebriated rednecks. Well, used to be my kind of people. Probably not now, but used to be my kind of people. I ain't in shape to hang out with that no more. One condition, you got to wear a South Carolina Gamecock shirt. Oh, I got no problem wearing it. I can do that. I got no problem wearing that at all. If it means I get to stick my hand underwater and a big old catfish try to eat it off. It'd be much better wearing that than wearing a top like she does. Throw a bubble rig with a glass minnow or a fluke behind it in the AM near the evening from a pier. There you go. Everybody's dropping out juice, right? But I'm trying to do that. We're trying to find some cost-effective for 2026 until I can get all the sponsors on board. Some cost-effective ones. But here's the thing. If I come in your area to fish, okay, or noodle or whatever we do, not only do we have to do that, you have to have cool places to eat, cool places to go drink, and you got to have cool things to do. You have to have those kind of things. Because, again, the TV show is not really about the fishing. It's about the people in the area, you know. And I know you people in South Carolina, I mean, strange as you may be, make for some good TV every once in a while. My wife's family's from South Carolina. They're different people. Really different people. You ever been to a Pentecostal funeral in South Carolina? Boys, let me tell you something. The Soquel River and Habersham, we got you. Atlanta Safe House, let's do it. Let's make it work. We can do that. We can do that for sure. But you ain't lived. You ain't lived until you've been to a Pentecostal funeral in the backwoods of South Carolina. I'm telling you what, that was an experience. That was an absolute experience. It was tongues a blazing. I mean, and I'm just sitting back going, yep. Now, if you're into that, hey, more power to you. I mean, I didn't insult it or nothing. I was just like, yeah, all right, here we are. Scared the hell out of my wife, though. It did. She hasn't been exposed to any stuff like that. I had a good time, though. I had a good time. About like the baptism here last year with that kid in the middle of December that cussed like crazy going down and F-bombed coming up. Best baptism I've ever been to in my life. Absolutely. Because it's probably the exact same thing I would have said. I think the Lord, he's like, might want to dunk him twice. But that was good. So anyway, guys, look. Tonight, 8 o'clock, Topwater, Herring Lakes. I want you guys to come and join the conversation because I want to know what you guys know. Messick, you guys in South Carolina, you guys up in Illinois. My family is split Pentecostal. Being from South Carolina, buddy, I don't doubt it. And y'all love Jesus too. That's all that matters. And Baptist. Oh, yeah, that's an interesting combination, my man. I love them all. Love them all. But you guys that don't live on Lake Lanier or Allatoona, I'd really love to hear your fall topwater. And I want you guys to go watch a video. Here's your homework. Do this today. I want you to go watch Brian Latimer's video and tell me what you guys think tonight. Or maybe tomorrow. We might do that more so tomorrow on the lunch break because he put out a video saying all the fall transition, all the fall stuff like that is a scam. It's a marketing scam. John G., if we got to talk about the Whopper Plopper tonight, we'll talk about the Whopper Plopper, my man. We will talk about it just for you. Just for you, my man. But he put out a video saying the fall transition and all this stuff's a marketing scam, that fish really aren't doing that much different in the fall than they're doing in July and August. I actually sent him a message on Instagram seeing if he'd come on the show to discuss it. Atlanta Outdoors has watched it. You kind of agree with it. We'll talk about that. That's going to be what we're going to talk about tomorrow on the lunch break. Tonight, we'll keep it topwater, Herring Lakes and stuff. What's going on? Franco will be in the house. We'll talk about that. Tomorrow on the lunch break at 12 o'clock, you guys go watch that video. That'll be the discussion. That's your homework for tomorrow. Watch Brian Latimer's video on fall fishing being a scam, not the fishing itself, but all the marketing around it. And then we'll come back here tomorrow and we'll discuss. It would be awesome if y'all could get B-Lad in the studio. I'd love to have him. I don't know if he'll come to the studio being in South Carolina. We probably have to pipe him in if he does it. I've asked him several times via Facebook Messenger. And when somebody reads it, it gets that little circle. You can tell somebody's read it. Now, it might be somebody that handles his social accounts. I don't know, but somebody read it and didn't answer me. So I know somebody knows I've asked before. We'll see. I especially agree with the months where fall can feel like summer, but the thermocline is visible now. He also says in that video that they do transition, but that's more to do with oxygen quality, which I agree. Hey, guys, y'all save that crap for tomorrow. You two are on probation. Atlanta Outdoors and Colton Posey, both of you are on double secret probation. All right? Can't talk about it till tomorrow. Now, for sure, though, I watched the video. They've watched it. You guys definitely need to go watch it. Lure makers catch anglers, not fish. Patricia Leanne Shaw, I've said that forever. Yeah. Okay, I'll ask him for you. He and I are tight. Listen, John G., you know him. Now, he may say something ugly about me. I don't know, but ask him if he'd come on for sure. I'd love to have him. I want to talk about that. Okay, my lips are sealed. Man, that's what I'm telling you. Listen, you got it. You got to play the game. But I've always said 90% of the baits in a tackle shop catch the anglers, 10% catch the fish. You can fish with 2, 3 colors and maybe 4 or 5 baits for your entire life, and you catch all the fish you want to. Okay, now Colton Posey is on triple probation because he said the Eagles are better than Van Halen. Colton, I know you're from Alabama, and I have to be very careful because I know the TikTok algorithm is listening. But if you can read my mind, you will know what I'm thinking. Everybody needs some special friends in their life right now. You're my special friend. You're my special friend. And I love you. I've learned my top 3 techniques. Work year round, just change the tempo and depth. For sure. I can believe that. So anyway, listen. It's deep. No, deep down, I do not know it. We'll have that argument. Eddie Van Halen had more talent in his 3 fingers, just 3 of his 10, than the entire Eagle band together. I do like the Eagles, though. I do really do like the Eagles. Not as much as Van Halen, but I do like the Eagles. So take it easy. Ooh, you like that? You like what I did right there? You know what, you guys, hey, listen, y'all got to go back to work. Forgive him, Danny. He's from Alabama. I know, Fred. I know. I told you he's my special friend. So, hey, listen, you guys, B-Lat is the Blackanelli of bass. Okay, I got what you're saying. A little play on there with Iconelli and all that. I get him. I get you. I'm going to watch the video game. That's tomorrow. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. You guys, listen, go back to work. Come back tonight. Yeah, I'll see you later, buddy. Come back tonight, 8 o'clock. Join us for fall topwater fishing on herring lakes. Now, of course, we'll get into other things too, but we're going to talk topwater tonight. So you guys join us. Randy Rhodes was good too. I like Randy Rhodes as well. But you guys, we'll debate that tomorrow as well. Not enough time today. I got to go to work. So you guys go to work. Come back, see us at 8. So enjoy today's conversation. I've given you homework. I've given you your homework. Go watch B-Lat's videos, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Hey, real quick, Dozer said, I worked in an Eagles concert, no cell phones. Yeah, I know it. They're kind of really tight. Like, they're one of the groups that will shut guys down on YouTube for using their music or even talking about their music. The Eagles are like, they're that guy. Got crazy. I bet it did. So you guys be good. I'll see you guys tonight at 8 o'clock. Enjoy the rest of the day. If you're in the area and you want to come hang out during the show tonight, come on. I ain't locking the doors till about 7:45. You're more than welcome to come. Bring your own beer. You guys be good. I'll see you YouTube guys later. Let me end the stream there on this one. Unless my mouse just died. There we go. YouTube, you guys are out. We'll see you.